Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Revere97. Sorry I haven't made a video, of course, in a little while, and I decided, since I got some free time right now, I'm going to make a video. I decided to do something new this time. Instead of doing another review, I decided, what's a topic that's pretty big around this time of year? The Super Bowl. Right, that's one of them, but you know, there's many of them. You got different movies coming out, you got many different things going on. You got world news and all that, and I decided, let's go with the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is probably one of the biggest events of the entire year, and it's probably one of my favorite times of the year. It's not my most favorite time of the year, but it is one of my favorite times of the year. Excuse me, you know, sitting back, watching football, and of course, the best part of all, the commercials. Yes, this video is about the commercials that air during the Super Bowl, and I decided, why not make a top 5 video of the top 5 Super Bowl commercials of all time? Now keep in mind, this is going to be my opinion and my opinion only, so you know, if you see a commercial that maybe you didn't think should have been on this list, or you know, hear a commercial that you, or not hear, that you didn't hear a commercial that you wanted on this list and it didn't make the list, of course, I just want you to know this is my opinion, so please feel free to leave your choices in the comments as well. And if you guys think that there's one that should have made the list, you can also leave that in the comments and express your opinion of what you thought should have been on this list. But let's go ahead and start out with number 5. And this will be both old school and new school mixed together, so it's kind of a combo of both. So we're just going to take a look at 5 of them that are considered classics and just funny and awesome. So here we go. Number 5. That's a tricky one, to be honest with you, but it's kind of an old school commercial. The commercial that I'm looking at here is the 1992 Cindy Crawford Diet Pepsi commercial that aired during the Super Bowl of that time. I don't keep track of the numbers of the Super Bowl. If anyone can remember, please leave it in the comments. So anyways, this was a very popular commercial around that time. The commercial pretty much just featured Cindy Crawford getting out of a car. 2 boys are just staring her down, and you know, she goes to get a Diet Pepsi. She drinks it, and they're looking at her, and really they're actually looking at the can in her hand that she's drinking. But you know, they probably were kind of looking at Cindy Crawford too. But you know, the whole idea of the commercial I thought was awesome, and it was cool. I liked the way they advertised that. And I really didn't like it mostly just for the Cindy Crawford part, although she is pretty damn hot. I like the way they actually advertised the commercial, because Cindy Crawford goes up and she's drinking a Pepsi can, and most people know soda's bad for you. And anyways, here comes the Diet Pepsi, and that's what a lot of people, you know, drink when they are on certain, you know, forms of diet, I guess you could say. I don't really know how to explain it because I really didn't think it out. But yeah, you guys get what I mean. But actually, diet soda is actually been proven to sometimes been worse, in some cases be worse than regular, because of the what's the word? Little word. What's it called? Little word. Aspartame. Yeah, that's what's in diet soda. But you know what? The commercial is awesome, and it's still in my mind a classic. I don't care about what people say about diet soda or anything. That commercial is awesome, and it's classic, and I just like the way the whole thing was played out. So now we're going to move on to number 4. 4. I don't know. Number 4. You know, I didn't really think about this one either, but I gotta go with my gut on some of my favorites. So I'm gonna go with this one as the Snickers, almost said Skittles, the Snickers commercial with Betty White and Ava Goda. That was probably it was just an awesome commercial. It's Betty White out there playing some football, and all of a sudden she gets tackled, and they're all telling her, you know, step up your game, you're playing like Betty White. And then someone runs out from the crowd and gives her a Snickers bar, and then the real person comes back and says, better, it's one of those you're not you when you're hungry deal. And at the very end, they're all saying they're open, and here's Ava Goda with the football, and he gets tackled at the very end. I thought that was just classic and funny. Of course, everybody knows Betty White and all the stuff she's done in the past, the Golden Girls, and just a bunch of different things she's done in the past. And of course, Ava Goda is probably famous for the TV show Barney Miller and the 1972 film, and also my favorite film, The Godfather. But you know, the commercial was just awesome, and I think that was one of the first, when they were first starting the motto, you're not you when you're hungry. I can't remember if that was the year they started it or not. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. But it's just a commercial that I found funny and just awesome. I mean, especially, you know, Betty White getting tackled, and same with Ava Goda, and it's just awesome. So, oh, excuse me. Anyhow, that's number 4, and now we're going to move on to number 3. Number 3, probably, no, not probably. It is a definite answer. It is the classic Apple commercial from 1984 called 1984. The commercial was only shown once during the Super Bowl, but it gained a heck of a lot of attention from just one showing during the Super Bowl. The commercial pretty much details all these people going to this auditorium, and I'm guessing that's what it is, and this lady comes and runs up and lets go of this like sledgehammer thing, and all of a sudden it hits the screen, and like everybody's wild, and it says, on January 24th 1984, Apple computers will release the Macintosh, and you will see why 1984 won't be like 1984. And the commercial ends there. It's a simple spot, but Apple was a very kind of a big deal back then. I mean, it wasn't like a huge deal, but it was like, I think that was the year the Macintosh computer came out. Somebody correct me again if I'm wrong. I haven't checked the majority of my facts like with everything, but I do know the facts about the commercials and everything, but it's just the actual facts surrounding it. But you know, that was a big deal for Apple, and that commercial actually put them on the spot for when for that area when Macintosh was released. A lot of people consider that to be a very classic commercial, and I also do as well. Although I was not born in 1984 or alive in 1984, I still saw it, and it's amazing, and I'm surprised that it did not air again ever during that year. But it gained a heck of a lot of attention, and that's how Steve Jobs made his fortune, I guess. So here we go on to number 2. Number 2. It's definitely a classic commercial that I look forward to every year that comes on, and it is the Budweiser Clydesdales. These commercials are just awesome. They're happy, and they just touch you in a certain sense. It just makes you feel like happy all of a sudden, except for the one from 2001, which had which was the memorial for 9/11. But of course, you know, ever since then, they just always make you feel happy. And even the one from last year and the one that's going to be debuting this year, you guys got to go check those out. They'll probably be airing on the Super Bowl, and these are just commercials that, you know, they always make you just smile and everything. And you know, a lot of the beer commercials nowadays are a little bit different, but the Budweiser Clydesdales always just make you smile and make you happy, and it's a great experience just to see. And the reason I'm putting this at number 2 is the one I'm saving for number 1 only came on the air once, and ever since then was a classic. But these come on every year, and I always look forward to watching the Clydesdales in their new commercials. While I love the Clydesdales, I just can't give it the number 1 position due to the fact that it just comes on every year. And although they are rendered as classics, this next one that we got coming up after this honorable mention that I'm going to say is just one that was a classic that never really went away, and most people still remember it to this day and have even heard of it, even if they weren't alive to actually see it broadcasted on the air. But the Clydesdales definitely get a very high position on here, and I love the Clydesdales and look forward to see what they got also in next year in store for the Super Bowl. Now we're going to move on to my honorable mention. And my one honorable mention is a commercial that also airs kind of every year, and they always bring something new, and sometimes they're funny, sometimes, you know, they're not so much, but you know, most of the time they are funny, and it's Doritos. Doritos always has something funny going on. They have that Super Bowl, Crash the Super Bowl Doritos every year that they have, and you know, it's just really cool. Doritos has put out so many ads over the years. I can't remember all of them, but I remember a few of them. There's last year's 2013, the Goat for Sale one, and then there's the one with the date when the little boy sees the guy, and the guy's trying to be friendly, and he says, "Keep your hands off my mama and keep your hands off my Doritos." And let me think see if I can remember one more. Oh, the one where the guy says, "You left the best part for last," and he starts licking the guy's fingers and says it's the cheese. That part I found kind of gross, but then when he rips that guy's pants off, I just thought that was just hysterical. I don't know why. I just bursted out laughing when I saw it. And the other one is the Bird of Prey that I found really hysterical from one year. The guy is just crazy over Doritos. He's falling out of a tree, and he's just going, whenever he sees Doritos, he goes nuts. And so they say, watch this, and the window's right there. So they turn out the light, they put the bag of Doritos out, and the guy comes, crashes right in the window, kind of making him look like an idiot, pretty much. But, you know, it's all good and funny. I just didn't give it a spot on the list because it just wasn't as really memorable as some of these others that I put out and won't. And although they'll be remembered for quite some time, they won't be as memorable as some of the other ones around here. But I did have to give it an honorable mention and throw it on my list somewhere. But now we come up to number 1, and that is the best Super Bowl commercial in my opinion. And the number 1 best Super Bowl commercial of all time, in my opinion, is a commercial that has not been forgotten, really, in the history of all the Super Bowl commercials combined, and even the Super Bowl kind of itself, if you think about it in that kind of terminology. But whatever, you guys know what I mean. It's a commercial that many people, even who probably weren't alive during that time era, know of this commercial. And it's the Mean Joe Green Coca-Cola commercial from 1979. This commercial was just heartwarming, and it's just awesome, and I love it. It always puts a smile on my face. It's a commercial that, ever since it was released, although it was released before the Super Bowl in 1979, it did debut during the Super Bowl, and that's when it got most of its recognition, was during the Super Bowl. So that's why it's praised as a Super Bowl commercial, although released a year before the Super Bowl. But you look at this commercial, and it's just awesome. Now, I don't know if many of you know who Mean Joe Green is. He was a defensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day. He was also with players like, you know, Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, and people like that who were with the Steelers at the time. And yeah, the Steelers is my favorite team. I don't care if you give me crap about it. This is about the commercials, not about the game right now. So, the commercial pretty much is, he's walking off the field into the locker room, and this little kid finds him, and he says, Mr. Green, Mr. Green, and he's just kind of grumpy, I guess you could say, and as he's limping away, pretty much kind of implying that he was probably hurt on the field, and he denies the little boy's help, and later on, like just a couple seconds further in the commercial, he offers him his Coke, and he says, want my Coke? He also tells him, like, you're the best I've seen. He goes, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And so he says, want my Coke? And he says, no. And he says, no, really, you can have it. And he says, okay. And then he downs the whole Coke actually in one drink, in one gulp, which is kind of crazy. But, you know, I mean, if you're advertising Coke, I mean, or any kind of soft drink product, it just makes it kind of, the product look good. And so kid is kind of upset, because he drank the whole Coke, although he's just offering him a drink, and, you know, he's kind of hoping also maybe to get a little autograph out of it or something. And he drank his whole Coke, and now he's not really paying attention, so he goes, okay, see you around. And then he leaves, and he says, hey, kid, catch. And he tosses him his jersey, and then the little kid goes, wow, thanks, Mean Joe. And the commercial pretty much ends there, and the jingle behind it was just perfect, and this commercial just always made me feel happy. I always wonder why this commercial just never re-aired again. Yeah, sure, it's an old commercial, but it's a classic. I sometimes wish they'd re-air it around Super Bowl time, just to see what people's reactions would be. I mean, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who would still light up and smile, and would just love to see this commercial once time again. A little fun fact trivia behind this commercial. Joe Green always had to, you know, do this take over and over again, and then finally when it came time to film it, every time he took the Coke and said, hey kid, catch, he always burped. The reason being was because he actually downed the whole Coke in one take, and he kept doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that, and guys keep thinking, don't think that's wrong. Anyways, yeah, he kept drinking the Coke, and he kept burping too. And finally, they said, I think it was one take, he was actually able to do it, but it was hard, he said. He said that was a commercial that was very hard to do. And, you know, well, I mean, it wasn't hard in terms of, like, you know, like being stressed or anything, just drinking a bunch of Coke like that. I mean, that'd be hard on anyone. Well, anyway, you guys, there you have it. Top 5, that's 10, top 5 Super Bowl commercials of all time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I also hope you enjoy the Super Bowl too this year. Because, I mean, this is a Super Bowl I really am not too keen on, but I'm going to watch it anyways just for that. You know, right now, I could use a Coke and a smile.
Coke and a smile.
Thank you for watching, YouTube. Go Seahawks. See you around.